Hello ladies and frogs, and welcome back to another video. I hope y'all are doing well today. I know I am. I woke up in a really good mood this morning, and last night I had posted on all of my social medias that I was going to be doing a Q&A today, so I asked people to leave their questions on a Google form for me. So basically that's what we're going to be doing today. Also, I'm sorry if my voice sounds kind of weird. I just got a new mic, and I'm still trying to work with it a little bit. Anyways, I have about 10 or 15 questions I'm going to be answering in this video. I did give everyone the opportunity to leave their username at the end of the questionnaire, just in case they wanted to be credited for their questions, so I will be putting those below each question that I answer. And if you guys want to turn this into a series, you guys can go ahead and leave your questions in the comments down below and I'll answer them in another video. Okay, the first question I'm going to be answering is from Bookworm Knight over on Instagram, and he asked, what are your favorite kinds of characters to make or draw? So if it's not obvious already, I love designing female characters. And actually, when I was younger, I liked to draw male characters a lot more, but around the time I was 13 or 14, I remember reading a post that said, artists are always good at drawing one of the two, either masculine characters or feminine characters. And I was at a point in my art where I really did not want to fall into any stereotypical artist tropes, so I started drawing women as a way to counteract that, but now that's all I draw. So I ended up falling into it anyways, just in the opposite way. But I do enjoy creating female characters, and I also enjoy creating pairs. So typically if I'm creating one OC, there's another OC that goes along with them to complement them a little bit. And then here we have a question from Angel Hart, who asks, Aizawa story when? We're missing him. And I did touch base on this topic when I posted my video about why I don't draw comics anymore. So for those of you who don't know, alongside my Shinso comic and my Bakugo comic, I also started on an Aizawa comic, starring my OC Ume, whose quirk was Ghost, and originally it was supposed to be like a very angsty comic with like a Aizawa Dabi love triangle, but then I was feeling very burnt out, like I explained in my previous video after the Bakugo comic, because like I explained, the Bakugo comic was never really something that I wanted to do. It was more so something that I was doing to keep up engagement with my followers, because that was the type of content that they were expecting of me. I believe the Aizawa comic only had 3 parts before I trashed it. So full transparency, I most likely will not be finishing the Aizawa comic. I did go pretty in detail with Ume's backstory. I had the whole story planned out, but starting a comic where I'm at now just isn't very feasible, and I'm trying really hard currently to focus on my YouTube content and creating TikToks and YouTube shorts, and making a multi-part series like that takes a lot of energy out of me. Not to say I'm abandoning webcomics as a whole, but most likely the next time I post a webcomic, it will be an original story and it will not be fan-based. So I'm sorry to anyone who was really excited about that comic. I do know how it feels to get hooked on a comic and then be told that you're not going to be able to read it anymore. Cough, cough. But I am on to bigger and better things, so keep that in mind. Okay, this next question is from Aiko, and it says, how do you balance work, life, and art? This is actually a pretty good question. So obviously, as you guys know, I took a couple months break from social media. Balancing work, life, and art is pretty hard. I'm fortunate enough to be able to focus on my art full time to turn it into a career, but it's all about finding a balance. Considering work and art for me go hand in hand, I typically only work on art 5 days out of the week, so I'm not overwhelming myself by constantly taking on new projects and constantly working on art all the time, because that's how I get burnt out. And that's why I go on 6-month-long breaks. And since my partner works a very stereotypical 9-to-5 job, I'm typically only working while he's at work, and I put my iPad down when he gets home. That way we can spend time together, and it also opens up a lot of time for me to explore other hobbies of mine. I think all in all, it's pretty important for you to pace yourself and take breaks as needed so you're not getting constantly burnt out. And it's okay to do stuff for yourself sometimes. I know I have an issue with falling into the mentality where when I'm doing artwork, if I'm not creating something productive, if I'm not working on a commission, if I'm not creating a video, then I'm not doing well and I'm being lazy. But it's okay to set aside time for yourself to draw things that you want to draw and to do things that you want to do. And if art starts to feel like a job or just another responsibility that you have to fulfill, then take a step back. I know it's easier said than done, but you just gotta cut yourself some slack sometimes. That's it. Alrighty, moving on. We have a question from Dreamer who asked, what was your inspiration for your art style? I know this is true for a lot of us, but when I was younger, anime really inspired my artwork. As I got older, I started branching out and watching different animated media, not just anime, but also animated cartoons, adult animation, stuff like that. But in the recent years, I've actually taken a lot of inspiration from my fellow artists and friends of mine. Typically when I'm drawing, I have to have something playing in the background, like some kind of YouTube video or some type of ambient music. And a lot of times I will watch other artists just drawing, watching their process videos. One of my favorites for a really long time was Lavender Town. I don't really watch her much anymore. I also watched a lot of Drawing with Waffles. I'm also sending her a lot of love and support because I did see her community post a couple weeks ago. But like I said, I also take a lot of inspiration from my friends. Especially when I'm in an art block, I like to look for my friends for inspiration. My top 3 favorites are Mura, Ren, and Gwen. I think their art's very diverse. I love the colors that they all use, and I do stalk their accounts when I'm feeling uninspired. And not just them, obviously. I do have a lot of friends who are all very talented, and I love seeing their art. I love my friends. The next question was sent in anonymously, and it says, what are your goals for the future? I'm assuming this is art related, but just in a general sense, my goals for the future are obviously to continue creating art. I would eventually like to start my own full-fledged webcomic, but also I want to start saving up money because this sounds really dumb and really stupid, but I want to live in a camper. I think it's been one of my biggest dreams for a really long time to buy a camper with like a bathroom in it and a bedroom and a little kitchenette area and just travel the country in it. I think that sounds really fun, and that's something that I super want to do, and I feel like it's relatively achievable because campers aren't that expensive. And who knows, maybe when I get to that point, I'll start doing vlogs, and I'll start taking you guys with me wherever I'm going. This question was sent in by Pasta Fox, and I think we all
already know the answer to that one.
In all seriousness, though, I do think I have a handful of controversial opinions, at least things I would consider controversial. Like, I've seen people arguing about these all over TikTok and Instagram. I also think that in this day and age, every opinion is controversial to an extent. I feel like anyone can argue over anything nowadays. But this is supposed to be a cheery and upbeat video, so I'm not going to get into those here. I might make a video about them later, though. This next question was also submitted anonymously, and it asks, what's your favorite season? Which is kind of difficult, because I don't like winter because it's too cold, I don't like summer because it's too hot. I think my favorite season would be autumn. Me and my partner have actually been talking about it a lot because we've been discussing our wedding a lot recently, and we definitely want an autumn wedding, but we would have to have like an early autumn wedding where like the leaves are just changing color but it's not too cold, because where I live, autumn is freezing and the weather here in general is constantly back and forth all the time. Like today, it's like 62 degrees outside. 2 days ago, it was 32. The weather here definitely doesn't play, but the time of year here where the weather is most consistent is probably early autumn, like in between September and like November. Plus, I really like Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, so obviously I'm gonna like autumn for that. This next question comes from Aiko again, and it says, which one of your OCs needs a redesign? And this is a really hard question, asking me to pinpoint OCs, because if you guys don't know, I have over 150 OCs. If you check out my toy house, I've got over 150 OCs, so it's a lot to choose from. However, if I had to choose, it would have to be my OC Purga. I received Purga as an adopt so many years ago. I was in like my freshman or sophomore year of high school when I got this adopt. I think her design is absolutely stunning. I think she's beautiful. I don't necessarily think she needs a redesign, but you know what I do think? I think that I have to draw her. I think I have to draw her. Do you want to know why I think I have to draw her? Because I spent $300 on her, and I have not drawn one piece of that character, and I feel like I need to. And upon reflection, I'm trying to think of why I've never drawn her, and I believe it's because her outfit's a little too complicated. So if I do redesign her, it would probably just be to simplify her outfit a little bit to make her easier to draw consistently. But she was drawn by an old friend of mine, and I think they did an absolutely fantastic job at designing her. I love her color palette, and I think she's beautiful. I definitely need to draw her soon. Or at the very least, I need to implement her into some kind of story to give me an excuse to talk about her more. Because I have definitely not gotten my money's worth out of her yet, and I really need to. I really need to, because what was 15-year-old me thinking? What was 15-year-old me thinking spending $300 on something? Not even spending $300 on something, spending $300 on something and then never touching it again. What is my problem? Anyways, moving on. Let's discuss another OC that I draw relatively consistently that probably does need a redesign because I created her when I was like 17. This is my OC Salem, and she's beautiful, she's stunning, but she's definitely a little outdated. I haven't drawn her in a super long time, and she was originally paired with one of my friend's OCs who was meant to be like a witch bounty hunter. But we never really fleshed out the story, and I kind of lost interest in her, but she is a beautiful OC, and I would love to draw her sometime soon. Okay, and for the final question of the video, it asks, if you could have 3 of your OCs be roommates, who would you choose and what would their dynamic be? So I would definitely choose my OCs Kofku, Itaka, and probably my OC Yudai. Partially because they are all my hero characters of mine. Kofuku is Aizawa's niece, Yudai is Midnight's son, and then Itaka is just one of my oldest My Hero OCs. Plus, I think their dynamic would be really funny to see. Kofuku's personality is kind of similar to Bakugo's in the sense that she's very outspoken, and she's kind of blunt about the things that she says, and she also has a very short temper. Itaka, on the other hand, is very positive, very optimistic, and very outgoing. She is deaf, so she doesn't speak too often. She prefers to read lips and then communicate back using sign language. Later on in her story, she does get hearing aids. But for all of them to be roommates, it would have to align with their timeline, which means that at the time of them being roommates, she wouldn't have gotten her hearing aids yet. And Yudai is very shy. He's very shy, he's very modest, he doesn't talk. If he does talk, it's barely a mumble. I also imagine that he would probably have an opposite sleep schedule to the other two because he is more of a night owl and he does have insomnia. So I imagine he'd be up really late at night when they're all sleeping, and then he'd probably be sleeping during the day when they're awake. As for their dynamic, I imagine Itaka and Yudai being pretty close. He would probably be a lot less intimidated by Itaka than he would have been of Kofuku, because Kofuku is very off-putting at first. Eventually, he would end up getting closer to her and realizing that she's actually pretty friendly, but when they first meet and move in together, there would probably be a bit of tension there. And of course, as you guys know, Itaka is dating Shinso and Kofuku is dating Bakugo, but as of right now, I don't have a partner for Yudai, so I'm assuming that when Itaka or Kofuku invite their boyfriends over, Yudai is just locking himself in his room. Yudai also isn't in 1A, so he probably wouldn't know any of the students from 1A, which would make it even more awkward because he has never had a chance to interact with Shinso or Bakugo before. So I think their dynamic would be pretty familial, honestly. They'd probably all get really close and stick together, just like a little gang of misfits. I think it would be really cute. I do need to delve a bit deeper into Yudai's story though, because I really haven't drawn him aside from that one piece that I showed earlier in the video, and that drawing was made like 3 years ago. I was actually gifted my Yudai design by my friend Ollie a couple years ago, so all the credit for his backstory and design this far go to them. But since receiving his design, I've done nothing with it, but I really want to because I think he's a really cute character and I think that his story is really interesting. Anyways, that's it for the questions that I have today. Like I said, if you guys want to continue this and keep it an ongoing series, you can go ahead and comment some questions down below for me to answer in another video, or I'll leave my link to my Google form in the description and you can go ahead and ask me some questions there. I did get a decent amount of questions this time around. I chose to skip some of the questions because they were either repetitive or I had already answered them or it wasn't really appropriate for the theme of today's video. But I'm always open to answering more questions, whether it's about me as a person or my OCs or any sort of story building, or if you have any recommendations for content that you want to see in the future. I'm basically an open book, so ask me whatever questions you want. In the meantime, I did want to talk to you guys really quick because I am super close to hitting 100,000 subscribers and I want to do some kind of celebration for that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I do remember that when I hit 100,000 subscribers over on my TikTok a few years ago, I did a 12-hour live stream where I just drew for 12 hours straight and hung out with you guys. So if that's something you guys are interested in, you can go ahead and tell me. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it. I would just want to try and figure out how I'd be able to multi-stream across a bunch of different platforms, because ideally I would like to stream on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch all at the same time. I just want to make sure that there are plenty of avenues for people to view the work, so if you are interested in something like that, just let me know and I'll figure that out on my own time and then get back to you guys with a date. I would also like to do some kind of giveaway, whether that's giving away some sort of art supplies or giving away some sort of free art in like a raffle or something. I'm not really sure because I also haven't done a raffle in a really long time. But I do just want to do something to show you guys that I appreciate all of love and support that you guys have been giving me. This last year has been a total roller coaster as far as social media and my content goes. It's been really fun though. I've made a bunch of new friends. I've been able to participate in a bunch of really fun trends. It's overall been like a really great year, and I would not be where I am today without you guys. So I really appreciate you guys. I love you all so very much. So if there's anything you want out of me for 100,000 subscribers, go ahead and let me know. Anyways, I think it's time to wrap this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, go ahead and leave me some comments if you want me to make another video. And if you're gonna like the video, be gentle with the like button. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!